To all my students and viewers, once again I welcome you all to my YouTube channel Legal Pathagar. I hope all of you are doing very well. Okay, in my last video I have already discussed as to how to safeguard our fundamental rights when they are violated. Moving on, today we will be discussing the Directive Principles of State Policy or DPSP, which are discussed via Articles 36 to Article 51 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so let us begin. The Directive Principles of State Policy are found in Part 4 of the Indian Constitution, and these directive principles which we find under our constitution is something which has been borrowed from some other constitution, that is the Constitution of Ireland, or you can also say the Irish Constitution. Thus, the framers of the Indian Constitution thought about the directive principles of state policy, got the idea and conception of directive principles of state policy from the Constitution of Ireland. Okay. Next we will be discussing as to what is the purpose. Just like we discussed the purpose of fundamental rights, it is also important to understand the purpose of directive principles of state policy. The directive principles of state policy, simply stated, provides the objectives to the government and the legislators before framing any particular laws. The directive principles of state policy provides the principle of a welfare state where there will be high ethical conducts, high moral values of the people. Thus, what is important over here is welfare state. Thus, the directive principles of state policy promote the idea of a welfare state. This is often asked in various entrance exams, be it the Delhi University or the CLAT or even the Calcutta University. So students, please take note that directive principles of state policy promote the idea of a welfare state. Okay, moving on. Next, the Indian Constitution provides for 11 different directive principles of state policy. The last one has been added, which was not something present in the Indian Constitution. It has been added to the Indian Constitution in the 44th Amendment Act, the last directive principle of state policy. Moving on, we need to know that the directive principles of state policy are non-justiciable. This is very important. The directive principles of state policy are non-justiciable. It means when the directive principles of state policy are violated and any laws are made, we cannot enforce them in a court of law. We have already discussed that when our fundamental rights are infringed, we can enforce them in a court of law. But in case of directive principles of state policy, the opposite route is taken. They are not enforceable in a court of law because they are just regarded as guiding principles. They are just regarded as guiding principles for the legislators while framing the laws for the country. Having discussed everything and giving you a generalized idea of directive principles of state policy, now I would just like to mention a few important directive principles of state policy which you can keep in your mind and which may be coming in various entrance exams as MCQ questions. Okay, so number 1 will be to provide adequate means of livelihood to all Indian citizens, means everyone should be given employment opportunities. Number 2, to secure equal pay for equal work to men as well as women. So irrespective of your sex, if you work equally, you will be given equal salaries. Next, prevention of the slaughter of cows, calves and other milch cattle via Article 48. Next, safeguarding the forests and wildlife of the country via Article 48A. And the next one, separation of the judiciary and executive via Article 50. There are other articles also, but as I have already told you, I have discussed the most important articles of directive principles of state policy. I hope this video will definitely be helpful to you, And if you like this video, definitely subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, students and my viewers.